So Mommy Moon is the Korean name and Asami Hayashi is the Japanese name of the writer who was born in Japan to Korean parents. Now residing in Fort Lee, New Jersey, she has traveled to many countries. Those trips and new encounters in the US have shaped her new set of values. She studies at the New York Public Library's Stavros Niarchos Foundation branch. Her ESOL teacher is Michelle Prasad, and Shireen Hamad is the hub manager. Welcome, Mommy Moon.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. My title is about my favorite sentence. Have a nice day. This is my favorite sentence because it's a magic sentence. Hearing that sentence makes me happy. Some people might wonder why it makes me happy. Because people in countries where this custom is commonplace may not think it is a big deal. Isn't it wonderful to wish for the happiness of strangers? It's free, no effort required. So I always say this sentence with a smile. It may be surprising that I can be happy with such a simple thing. There are no such sentences or customs in my country. So I want to spread this custom when I go back to Japan. That way, I think that the number of happy people in the world will increase. Thank you.
Robert Smith was born in the Bronx 75 years ago. At the Brooklyn Public Library's Bedford Adult Learning Center, he worked with volunteer tutor Margaret Stevenson. He writes, "When I came to the library program, I wasn't able to read or write anything down. Now I'm learning how to do it and I like it. I'm able to function with devices now too. Susan Knott is the site supervisor and Matthew Green is the literacy advisor. And Robert Smith will be reading his piece, Voting."
Okay, voting. Robert Smith. Okay. The greatest thing that happened to me is I voted for the first time in my life at 75 years old. The first thing I had to do was to register. I wasn't in my, I was in my literacy program and Mrs. Susan and Mr. Matthews helped me to fill out the paper. I think I did it online. I got my voting card through the mail. Now I was able to vote, but I still needed help to go to the voting poll. My neighbor, Miss Kathiana Yvonne, helped me. She went with me to the poll. When I got to the poll, I still did not know what to do. Miss Kathiana explained everything to me, like what to do with the poll. The last thing I had to do was to put the ballot into the machine. That's when the people who work there showed me how to put it into the machine to cast my ballot. That was the greatest feeling after so many years of not being able to vote. Finally, I did vote, completed the voting for the mayor of New York City.
Wanda Rodriguez was born in Puerto Rico and raised in Brooklyn. She studies at the New Lots Adult Learning Center with literacy advisor Nicholas Simon. She writes, "I am a single mother of 2 children who now serve in the military. I have a disability, multiple sclerosis, and I'm a cancer survivor. The time has come to make some of my dreams come true. Returning to school, getting my high school diploma, and traveling the world."
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wanda Rodriguez. The title of my poem is Moon. Every night the moon visits me at my window, shining like a light bulb in my room. I lie in my bed looking out and watching how big and bright it is. I have a peeky boost through the dark clouds, like an eyelid opening and closing. I don't know why I'm so mesmerized, but when I look away and look back, it's gone like saying goodnight.
Jason Bastidas is originally from Ecuador. He has lived in New York City for about 5 years. He studies at CUNY's City Tech Center, City Tech, in teacher Heidi Fisher's CLIP class. The site director is Gilberto Herrera. Jason Bastidas hopes to become a software designer someday.
So my title is Hot Chocolates and Empanadas, about Jason Bastidas. When I was child, my mother and I lived alone. She worked in pharmacy, but the money was never enough because my father did not send us any money. When I used what she earned to pay the rents, but there was not much left over. One day, when I was about 10 years old, I asked my mother if I can help her with another job. I told her that we could see empanadas with hot chocolate, since it's cold in my country. We asked my aunt if she wanted to help us with the work, and she said yes. We began prepared to create the most delicious empanadas and the best hot chocolate in the world. Together with my aunt, we made the dough for the empanadas with my aunt until it was fluffy and cold. My mother prepared the hot chocolate, letting the milk boil for about 20 minutes so that it would condense and taste better. After adding cinnamon, cloves, and powdered chocolate, the pull gave off incredible, a very delicious aroma. The next step was to fill the rolled out dough with cheese and ham and egg. They put this in the oven and they let them bake for ham and egg for 30 minutes. Sorry. The pan has whole color, the looking so crunchy, and when they come out, they give off and fantastic smell, as a few were having breakfast in front of the Eiffel Tower. When everything was ready, we went out in the afternoon to sell everything. We had to carry it all, and we went house to house offering everyone empanadas and hot chocolate. At the end of the day, we managed to earn $100, which was a lot for us. When we continued doing the same thing for a month, but the work could no longer continue because my aunt had found a place to work and my mother no longer had time. It's also go business with the school, but learning so much from this first experience of working. I learned to make effort and value the work and the time and the money that's earned. Afterward, sometimes when I saw a toy or I want something, I took twice before buying in because know that my mother made me that money late and learning how hard you have to work to earn it. Thank you.
A native of Beijing, China, Haiying Niu has been living in New York City since January 2019. She studies at the Tompkins Square branch of the New York Public Library with lead instructor Catherine Bond. Stephanie Burns is the hub manager. When Haiying Niu was a child, her career dream was to be a translator. She is very happy to have the opportunity to learn English in the United States.
Found in translation, how I got my dream job. When we come to a new place, we always make new friends, and some beautiful stories may happen. Since I moved to New York City, I have been living in Midtown Manhattan, near the East River. In my little time, I like walking along the riverside, especially when the weather is nice. Over the river, my seagulls glide over the mirror-like surface of the water. The breeze gently brushes my cheeks, and the special smell combining the river and the ocean mesmerizes me and takes me to the other side of the sea. It is such a soothing place that it made me fall in love with this city. One day, when I strolled as usual, I saw two elderly people talking. As I passed by them, The woman asked me in Chinese, "Excuse me, are you Chinese? Do you speak English?" "Yes, I'm Chinese, but my English isn't good," I replied. "That is so great. Could you be the translator for us?" "Sure, I can try." Then I began a job. Since English is my second language, I was afraid that I couldn't translate accurately. I listened to them carefully, not wanting to miss any important messages. Sometimes I even had to ask them to repeat themselves so that I could double check what they really meant. While listening, I was also considering how to organize my language to make sure I didn't get stuck. It was not an easy job for me, but I told myself, relax and be confident. The gentleman was very nice. When we talked, he tried his best to explain what had happened between him and the woman. I learned that the man had been feeding the seagulls as a hobby since he retired. Every afternoon, he brought fresh bread and took the M23 bus across town from his home in West Chelsea to the East River to feed these lovely birds. The woman was also retired. She came to New York City from China to visit her son, who works here. She liked to enjoy the river view, and she always walked here during her vacation. Then they met, and they fed the seagulls together. It was amazing, even though they couldn't speak each other's language. Through some simple words, such as hello, thank you, and great, they got to know each other. Most of the time, they used body language to express what they wanted to say. They became friends and met every day. Today was different. The woman was anxious for someone's help. She had to say goodbye to the man because her vacation was over and it was time to go back to China. Since she could not explain this clearly, she needed a translator at that moment. That was why she had asked me for help. She needed me to tell the man why she wouldn't be there next time. She was worried if she couldn't come, he wouldn't know what had happened to her. Although my English was not fluent, I finished my job successfully and was very happy that I helped them. I was a translator and so proud. By the way, the man's name is Ken and the woman's name is Lee. We all became friends and keep in touch. It was a special and pleasant experience for me as a newcomer to this city. I received a lot of support from New Yorkers. This time, it was exciting that I had the opportunity to give back. I was also aware that communication is an important bridge to connect people from different cultures and backgrounds. Good communication will build trust, avoid unnecessary misunderstandings, and make the community more inclusive. For that, I will continue my English language learning to contribute to enhanced connections among people in this diversified city. Thank you.
Born in Haiti, Mervyn Griffith came to New York in 1970. He writes, "Since I have been at the New York Public Library's Bronx branch, my writing has improved with the help of lead instructor Barbara Martinez and tutors Paul Herther and Tito Donovan. I like to write poetry. Paul gave me a rhyming dictionary and a thesaurus. I use them to help me pick the right word. I am proud of my writing." And he will be reading his piece, Meeting a Stranger in the Park.
In 2020, the virus took over the city. Everyone was depressed and scared. Life was dreary. You couldn't do things. You couldn't enjoy life. I hated the lockdown. Last summer, when the library was still shut down, we could only meet in the park. to work on our writing and reading. Each week, we had to find a long bench with space for 2 people. One day, we saw a bench with space. A man was at the far end, but there was space for us at the other end. As we approached the bench, I saw the guy just sitting there. He watched us walk towards the bench. He had no expression at all until he noticed my Marvel t-shirt. I saw his reaction. He couldn't believe his eyes. As we got closer, his eye glowed with enthusiasm and his face lit up. It is a rare t-shirt. No one else has that shirt. It gets a lot of attention whenever I wear it. It has lots of the characters on it, the full cast of Marvel characters. We jumped up to see the shirt better, and he talked a mile a minute. He was thrilled by the shirt. I could tell. His body language said everything. We talked about the different characters. He knew a lot of them, more than I did. He told me the different characters' names, including the ones I did not know. He liked the X-Men. I told him which were my favorites, and I was excited. It was awesome. Our conversation. I I am glad I wore that t-shirt that day because we could converse about the Marvel characters and the story we like. We talked for 10 minutes, then he left happy. His face was glowing with excitement, and he was walking with pep. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. I hope to see him again so we can become friends. It would be great to have a friend with so much experience with the Marvel comic books. That day was the best day I had that summer.
Born and raised in Mexico, Gabriela Robles came to the US more than 10 years ago. She holds a BA from CUNY's Baruch College and works as a graphic designer and corporate communication specialist. Her passions include learning something new every day, traveling, and volunteering. She also enjoys dancing, yoga, and meditation. She studies at University Settlement, where Lucia Leung is the director of the Adult Literacy Program.
Dimes. Since I came to this country, flat and round copper angels have been following me around. I call them angel dimes. They have been my emotional support. I don't remember exactly the first day that I had my first encounter with one of these beautiful pieces of copper. All I know is that every time I find one, it is always on the reverse side. In the beginning, when I found one dime, I would just put it in my purse and spend it. I never paid close attention until one day when I was miserable and found one. I remember it was winter, a cloudy and snowy day. I love snow, but that day was a very dark one for me. I had just gotten a call from Mexico. My sister-in-law informed me that my brother had been missing for a couple of days. I was terrified. I decided to go to church and meditate with God. As I was Going to step on the first stone to enter the church, I saw a 10-cent coin facing down. I almost didn't pick it up because I didn't want to remove my gloves. But I managed to pick it up with my gloves on. And I remembered that I had been finding these types of coins for a long time. I noticed the symbols on the dime, but didn't spend time thinking about what they meant because I was so worried about what was going on with my brother. So I put the coin in my coat on my coat pocket. The next day, I saw another dime on the floor at the Western Union office. It was face down too. And I thought it was weird that 2 days in a row I had found a dime on the reverse side. Still, I didn't research the symbols on the back of the coin. I looked at it and saw the olive branch to the left, the torch in the middle, and the oak branch to the right. Since my mind was in another world with what was going on with my brother, I didn't bother to investigate. 1 week later, another 10-cent coin manifested in the park. I was jogging and suddenly there it was, another dime on the tail side. At that point, I began my research to decipher what all these symbols were trying to tell me. According to the US Mint, the olive branch is a symbol of peace. The oak branch is a symbol of strength and independence, and the torch is a symbol of liberty. Also, some people say that dimes are a sign of communication from someone who has passed on, letting you know you are not alone. Others feel that finding dimes means someone or something is trying to get your attention. Also, it is said to be a symbol of friendship and reconciliation, cleansing, healing, light, victory, and richness. When I heard about the meaning of these symbols, I immediately connected them with my brother's situation. I realized that my angels were the dimes, telling me to be strong, and whatever happened with my brother, I will never be alone. At that point, I did not know what had happened with my brother. The police were still searching for him. 6 days later, I got another call from my sister-in-law. My brother had been found, and he had departed from this world. I strongly believe that my brother was trying so hard to get my attention to let me know that he wasn't here anymore. My angels, as I call them, manifest the presence in the most unexpected places and times. They have been, they have, they are with me in my sorrows and happiness, when I am upset or relaxed, even when I have traveled to another state. I have found a dime on the tail side. This confirms that my angels are with me everywhere I go. I have been collecting and labeling them by dates and life events. I keep them in my jewelry bags on my dresser because they are my most precious pearls and gems. They have priceless value. The message has been the same always. I have found the coin on the tail side always. Now one time have I found it on its head side. It's amazing how God sends you a constant message to let you know that He's holding your hand no matter what. Thank you.
Thuy Minh Nguyen was born in Vietnam and moved to New York City in October 2020. She received a master's in business administration at Con Tua University. She hopes she can speak English fluently soon because she wants to attend college in the US. She likes reading, walking, and traveling. At the New York Public Library's Washington Heights branch, she studies English with lead instructor Elke Stappert. Cisner Arajo is the hub manager.
The desk letters. I was a little girl in a small village. I left my village and moved to the city for high school. I was accepted into a famous school in the city after I had passed the exam with good results. The first year, I studied in the afternoon. I was seated at the first row of tables to see everything better because I was small and nearsighted. I liked this seat. One day, I was curious about who was sitting in this seat in the morning class. So I brought a letter to the person sitting in the same seat. One Friday, I decided to put the letter inside the student's desk. I was anxiously waiting for the following Monday. I wanted to know if someone received my letter and replied to it. The following Monday, I went to school 15 minutes earlier than usual because I was nervous that my classmates would laugh at me if they saw and read my letter. I hope someone replied to my letter, and I received a letter from a boy. He was to pray about mine. It was his final year at school. We sent letters to each other via the student desk. We shared details about hobbies, family, and future careers. He wanted to be a doctor so he could have many pupils. Sometimes I asked him to help me with my homework. At the end of the school year, we decided to meet at a certain bench in school. That was a nice day. I went to the bench and saw a boy waiting for me. I was very anxious because it was the first time I saw him. At the end, thank you.
So, born in Spain, Irene Blanco has been fascinated with written words since before she knew how to read. After going to the library every Friday of her childhood, she became a librarian, later redirecting her career toward keywords, hashtags, and newsletters. She came to New York in March 2020. At the English-speaking Union's Andrew Ramey New Immigrant Center, her ESOL teacher is Karen Ruel. Carl Hart is the Student Services Manager. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you so much. Shout out to the libraries and to my dear Karen. Let's go. I'm sorry, English is not my first language. I looked up equivocarse in the dictionary because I make so many mistakes in this city, in this language, that I want to be sure how to err correctly. I need the vocabulary to go wrong, to slip up with everything, the grammar to trip up and forget about the illusion of perfection. Embracing the flaws, being vulnerable is the lesson, accepting that nothing is more perfect than my daily imperfection. Thank you so much.
Magali Gomez, hi, was born in Mexico City and moved to New York in 2020. She has a degree in communications from Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico. She is currently working on a photography project related to the struggles people faced when they immigrate. She is about to start the last level of ESOL instruction at Community Impact of Columbia University. Her teacher is Kent Kastner.
The best is yet to come. Becoming an immigrant has never been easy, and it will never be, especially if one of the problems you face is lacking knowledge of a new language. You should have at least some minimum knowledge of the language in the place you will be living. If you don't, it will make things very difficult. Even if the city you are moving to has plenty of people from your own community, and no matter what nationality you are, eventually you will confront difficulties that, if you were in your homeland, would seem so silly. Simple things such as doing the laundry, figuring out the best way to get home, making appointments, or trying to get into the system can become a nightmare. This new country you have moved to has a different way of doing pretty much everything, starting with the language, right? Even a phone call to a doctor's office can be very challenging. You are living in an amazing place, but it comes with a whole package of problems that need to be solved. It's a great responsibility, and no one else can do it but you. Relying on a member of your family who is fluent in the foreign language is not a very good idea. At the beginning, it may work out, but little by little, you will need to go outside of the cocoon and become self-sufficient. Be bold and show the world your own voice, literally. Communicating and starting to practice is the key. All the members of a family have their own responsibilities. They can't do what's meant to be done by you, just as you can't do what they must do. If you are alone, it must be something you embrace. This is your new life, and communicating is part of it. Living the best way depends on you. So you better do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do. Learning a new language is hard. You face a steep learning curve before you can feel confident expressing yourself. You will find soon enough that the everyday small stuff can become stressful or even threatening. If only you could feel more confident and speak as if it were your first language. Expressing yourself never felt so frustrating. I was in the middle of these bittersweet thoughts, trying not to give up, when someone asked me about the best day of my life. What was the best day of my life? What was yours? Was it when you got married? When you found out that your first son or daughter was coming? Or maybe when you had the most inspiring meditation? Was your best day when you finished that challenging marathon? Or when you heard the audience applaud you after presentation? Or when you published your first book? Or when you had a nice vacation with your family or friends? But you know what? I would rather think about the future. As immigrants, we may find the best day of our lives will be when we finally are blended into this new community that has become our home. After all, America was built by immigrants trying to have a new place they could call home. Even though it seems a hard path to walk, and sometimes not even a straight path, but an uphill climb, there will be a moment when we finally feel that we can communicate well, without hesitation, when we listen to ourselves speaking with confidence in this new and wonderful language we have been learning and living. I hope the best day of my life and your life is very close. The day when we feel stronger than ever, becoming part of a society and doing what we must like to do, eventually getting a job and feeling fulfillment and joy in our new home. That day will come and we will feel that day is the best because we will have the confidence to achieve whatever our goals are. So don't give up. Another best day of our lives is coming soon. Thank you.